So today, I just want to let you know if you have been in a relationship that has been narcissistically abusive and you're challenging yourself to leave that relationship, um, I just want to remind you that your intuition is the way out. It's the safest way to leave the relationship is to trust yourself, your own intuition, and to allow that part of you to guide you through your own um, well, I don't know what you call it in this situation, but to guide you in a way that empowers you as you move forward each step of the way. And it can seem like a long journey sometimes to actually really get that courage up to really go no contact and just separate yourself completely from them and everyone they know and everywhere they go, because those kinds of people will find you and they will track you down and make you love them again. So you pretty much have to change your whole life. You know, is what my intuition is telling me. To move away from that area if possible and to start again. Just start over. Because there's really no other way to do it unless you have a really strong support group behind you and a lot of people backing you. Encouraging you, and even if you do, you might still find it very, very hard, because chances are you're going to see that person again and they're probably going to sneak their way back in to your heart because they're so good at convincing people of how loving they are, and they're very charming, and they're good at convincing people of, well, that they have empathy and compassion for you and that they're good people. So I just want to let you know that trusting your intuition is the best way. It's the most valuable way, because it's going to teach you how to heal in the process of leaving. It's going to show you what you need in order to have more hope and faith along the way, and it's very wise and discerning and clear about what you need. So it's going to deepen your faith along the way too. Most people that are in abusive relationships of one kind or another have turned to God for help in prayer on their knees, begging and pleading for help. So I just want to remind you, other people probably aren't going to make sense to you, or maybe they'll make sense, and you'll love what they're saying, but you just won't ever find yourself acting on what they're saying or doing what they ask you to, or maybe you tried and it just backfired on you, and worked in the opposite way of what was supposed to happen for you. So you found yourself right back in that relationship again when you did that. So really, honestly, if you don't move away, and you still live in the same town, just at least don't talk to any of the same people that they know anymore, and move to a gated community if you can do that. But more or less, I think the trauma and the drama will still continue if you do that, because they'll try to find you there and they'll find ways in. So, I believe that it's best to move far away. Then you can create opportunities. Well, new doors will just fly open for you. When you take that step, the initiative to help yourself, the whole universe is going to back you, and it's going to line things up for you so fast and so amazingly, because it knows all the effort you've been putting in so far. And the universe is compassionate. It's truly compassionate, so it understands how difficult this can be, and it sees where you're at, energetically speaking. So it knows everything you need before you ever ask, and it will supply everything you need, as long as you do your part and keep the faith and trust your intuition. You may feel inspired also. Trust your inspiration too, not just your intuition, but your inspiration. If you feel inspired to take a certain action or go talk to a certain person, by all means, I just am so love that, we have that amount of integrity within us that we can actually feel inspired in the midst of being in a relationship with someone like this. So, because it's so confusing, the gaslighting really is confusing. The way that, they treat you so well sometimes, and then turn around and treat you the exact opposite other times. It's so confusing, and you can really start believing the goodness in them again, and thinking that's how they really are, because you want them to be like you. You want to believe that everybody could be good for you all the time. But honestly, those people are here for us too. They're here we're not victims of them. I believe that we're here all learning together from each other and growing together, as long as that's possible. And when it's not possible anymore, and it's not likely to happen, then the universe will separate you. So if you think of them as a golden link on the chain of your highest and best good, and a golden link in terms of your personal and spiritual growth, they're a challenge for you, but they're there to help you grow and mature, and also to practice things that you've already learned about how to have healthy relationships, to put those into use, those skills that you have, that knowledge, that wisdom. They're there to empower you. They're just doing it in a way that you don't like. And they're giving you the opportunity to change who you are to someone better than you were before. Sometimes that's really hard to do because of the level of abuse that you receive from them. And I know everybody has their own excuse me ways of expressing that pain. But God knows the way to heal and to create opportunities for healing for us. And through our intuition and our inspiration, we can receive that. And also by listening to our body, if you're able to tune into your body, your self-awareness is also what keeps you safe. So the first clue that you're in a relationship with a narcissist is someone who tries to take you away from your own self-awareness, your own self, your own intuition, your own inspiration. If they try to prevent you from trusting those things about yourself, that's a clear sign that that's a narcissist, and they're working their way in to take the place of God in your life. So that way you don't have the strength to leave the relationship. So I just want you to remember that as you move forward and out of this relationship into new ones. Don't trust people that try to manipulate you in a way that makes you feel so scared that you don't have your own self-awareness again, and your awareness of your body, of being able to, if they try to, there's people out there who do that, but they're not narcissists. But because we all have upsets with others, that triggers, and we're in relationships to heal for that purpose. But when it's consistently that way, then that's a narcissist. So I have a really awesome, wonderful book that I've read that helped me get the courage and the faith and the skills that I needed, the inner skills. I built my inner muscles first, and the inner muscles really help a lot, and they give you that strength that you need to trust your intuition, to act on it, and to believe in yourself, to make things light, to be happy in it and healthy in it. We can do that. So you can be really happy in it and healthy too. There's sometimes it can be really, really hard to feel those things in it. But that's why we lean on others for help. We go to therapists, we go to group support meetings, big fan of people going to support group meetings for extra help, and reminders of ways to help empower themselves, in healthy ways that lead you to healthier relationships. And that's like Al-Anon or Narcotics Anonymous, because usually narcissists have been drinking or doing drugs. Al-Anon is a support group meeting for people who don't drink, but who've lived with people who are alcoholics or who currently live with them. And then also it's for people who've been in relationships with people who've been addicted to alcohol or drugs, I believe. So anyway, either way, it's an addict is an addict. So they all have the same behaviors, most of them. And then there's also support from authors of books, self-help books. So this is a self-help book that you might love. And this one is by Iyanla Vanzant, and she wrote the book Until Today. And it's a New York Times bestseller. She's a New York Times best-selling author because this book has daily devotions in it for spiritual growth and peace of mind. And that's what these kinds of relationships are really all about. They're helping us grow spiritually. They are helping us grow into more peace of mind within our own healthy bodies. And so each day is, each page has a different day of the year on it. And it's just really simple and easy to read. And so I'll just read you July 7th, for example. As I open the book, I just open to the perfect page. Maybe this will resonate with you and really help you in your relationship. So each month of the year, she has a focus on a different thing. So, for example, I like this book because she talks about different subjects that we need help with. So in the table of contents, of course, there's an introduction which says there's always more. So that gives you hope that there's more after this. More of whatever, of all things good in life, not the trauma, but there's really good stuff afterwards, so waiting for you, even within it. So January is about life, February is about love, March is all about awareness, April is all about acknowledgement, May is about acceptance, it's very important, June is about forgiveness, July is about understanding, August is about faith, September is about trust. That's also extremely important because they know how just to take all your trust away. October, if you let them. They can't do anything to hurt you unless you let them. And we're good at that. As people who go into those kinds of relationships, we seem to be very trusting. Maybe sometimes too trusting. So October then is about worth, which helps you keep your trust in the right places and people. When you know your worth a lot more than you thought you were before. So November is about service, December is about peace. And so I'm going to read one page from the book. And this one is July 7th. And it says, July 7th, I will gain more understanding when I realize divine action is always working on my behalf. So this book is all about self-realization, because every chapter, every every month, every page on this book starts with, I will gain more. Well, actually, okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Sorry about that. Like July, for example, every page of the book for July starts with, I will gain more understanding when I realize. And then she has ... And then the next part of that sentence is different for every day of that month. So that's, self-realization that you're doing during the month of July, okay? And then in June, for example, it starts with, I am now willing to forgive myself ... for believing that I have the power to create victims, for example. That's one page in June. Or for, I'm now willing to forgive myself for not taking time to deal with certain unpleasant memories. I'm now willing to forgive myself for believing that telling the truth can hurt me. So these are really all about what you're going through. I'm now willing to forgive myself for not being willing to acknowledge my own anger at myself. And when we do that, when we don't acknowledge our own anger at ourselves, we create victimhood within ourselves, and they take full advantage of that. So they can smell it from a mile away. So when you practice what's on these pages of this book, you won't be a treat for them anymore. They won't want you anymore. They'll run from you. So I encourage everyone to read this book every day. Read it and apply what's in it, most importantly. And every day it gives you something new to practice. So that's why I said, maybe you already learned something in the past that this relationship is giving you the opportunity to practice now in your own personal or spiritual growth work. And this person is there to support you. They're there to help you. They're there to help you in a way that feels crazy, and it's so seductive, but also so painful and confusing and whatever else you call it. Maybe you have different ways to describe it than that. So, I just want you to know you're not alone, and trusting your intuition is the best way. But also there's people that who've already been through something similar or a lot of things similar. They've written books about it, and they know the way and the way that's helped them. So you can glean insights from them and really empower yourself with wisdom from other people who've gone through similar things and gotten out safely. So July 7th is well, I guess I could read July 6th. This is probably really the best thing in the world. July 6th, I will gain more understanding when I realize, as long as I have an emotional attachment to a goal, I'm attached to the fear of not achieving the goal. This might fit with where you're at perfectly right now. If you have a goal of leaving that relationship, or like letting yourself move to a new place, but you haven't actually been able to achieve that goal yet, maybe you have attachment to it, and that's your attachment is creating a fear of not achieving the goal, and then therefore that's going to be your experience. So I'll read this page and hopefully that will make sense to you. It says, how do you relieve or release the pain associated with a relationship or experience that goes sour? Try saying, it just didn't work. you can make yourself crazy trying to figure out why, as people who are narcissistically abused and gaslit often do. Or you can simply accept that it didn't work instead of trying to figure out why. The choice is yours. How can you overcome the pain of disappointment? How about acknowledging that perhaps you were not as clear as you needed to be, or perhaps in the beginning, you were expecting more than you knew you could get. Once you can muster up enough courage to acknowledge your part in what happened, try saying it just didn't work. And then how do you live through betrayal of a loved one or someone who you trusted? This is also a huge part of that, and you know that, of narcissistic abuse, any kind of abusive relationship. You can choose to see yourself as a victim and the party as the villain, but is that going to make you feel any better? Probably not. It's actually probably going to scare you and make you feel worse. So how do you move out of the past and beyond the fear of what happened before could happen again? Because a lot of us have that fear. Well, maybe that's why we just stay there, because we're afraid if we leave, we're just going to get into another one that's probably going to be the same or worse. And we already know this person, and we already know what they do. So it might be easier to stay. People can make all kinds of excuses why they don't leave. So, why not take one self-loving, self-honoring step at a time? Admit what has not worked without any emotional attachment to why. And if you can do that, you'll be golden. Admit what you felt without any emotional attachment to who contributed. Also golden. Then there's no fighting inside of you going on anymore. In those ways, anyway. Admit to yourself that no matter how much you want them or how hard you work to get them, some things simply don't work out the way you want them to. You can create a better, more fulfilling future when the past... how can you create a better and more fulfilling future when the past has been so dismal? Well, if you want to do better today than you did yesterday, you simply must believe that you deserve it. And change your thinking about your past to something a little brighter. So until today, you may have believed you had to run away from the past. Just for today, accept your past by using what you have learned to create a vivid picture of what you want now instead, and you know you deserve. So today, at the end of each page, she has a little one sentence that is, one paragraph or sentence at the end of each page that says, until today, I did this, now I'm going to do that. So after that sentence, she has another one at the bottom of each page. It says, today, this is what I'm going to do instead. I will love myself, listen to myself, and accept the best from myself and for myself. So that's what your job is to practice for today. Okay, so, and then, July 7th is about, understanding that when you realize, you'll gain more understanding when you realize divine action is always working on your behalf. So it's a really nice, easy flow, like a gentle stream that you're just flowing down when you read this book, because it's organized and orchestrated. Whoever wrote this, I think it wasn't her. It was probably some high spirit, like maybe Jesus wrote it through her, but she just didn't say that. She's a reverend herself, and a very spiritual person. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, because the way that it's organized and the pages flow, it's like a really gentle, beautiful stream that you go down. And so each one leads you to the next stop along the way, or little turn in the river, and however you want to think of it, and then you get to practice something new there. But it makes sense with the day before, what you did the day before. and it leads up to where you're at in the book. Each page leads you up to the next one. And the more you do it every day, the more that momentum of positive energy and this change that you're making in your life and in yourself, the more that can build. And the more it builds up, it's like a big snowball of goodness. So then you have that rolling with you down the hill, and you're like, oh, this is easy and it's fun. It's really fun. And you'll have all kinds of amazing things and opportunities show up in your life that are going to be even more healthy for you than you could ever imagine. You'll find yourself drawn to new people that you've never been around before, maybe, or, people who are not healthy for you in addition to that person and that relationship. And maybe that location that you're in they'll drop away, and it'll be easy to leave when you trust your intuition and your inspiration and your guidance. If you're spiritually attuned to high guidance, most people are not when they're in a mentally abusive relationship like that. But if you happen to be, then you go for it. Listen to that guidance too. And the guidance of people in your life too, if you feel like strong enough to allow them to know what is going on. Because often a lot of humiliation goes along with this kind of abuse. You don't want people knowing about it too much, because it's kind of scary. So, okay, but maybe, you feel safe talking to some people. So anyway, that's that. But the July 7th starts off with, I like this because she starts off with, it's a God job. There's simply some things in life you're not going to be able to do anything about. And there will be those occasions when you simply can't change what happens or how it happens. And those will be times in your life when your hands are tied, your mind is blank, your mouth is shut, and you feel totally helpless. And this is probably describing you right now, what you're going through, because that's how these relationships make you feel. And these are God jobs, is what she says. So this is just an example from this book. But these are experiences she says, these are experiences of God working on you, in you, through you, and for you. And although you want to get involved, although you feel the need to do something, when God is working, your job is to be still. So, you might have days when you're just resting in bed because you don't feel like you're worthy enough to get out of bed, or maybe you just don't want to, you don't have the energy to because they've drained you of all your energy. So these are God jobs. So the idea is for you to be still so God can work on you and in you and through you and give you that next step to take, deepen that faith in you that you need to take the next step, to have the personal breakthrough you need. But there's nothing more challenging, of course, than sitting through a God job and being in that bed or wherever you end up being in private, alone, feeling your pain and feeling weak and feeling stupid. But there's nothing you can do, nor is there anything you need to do except wait. In the midst of a God job, there's nothing you need to say. There's no place you need to go. So these are words of encouragement, and they're words of wisdom and empowerment and a new way to think about what you're going through that's really uplifting. And then it makes you feel happy to be who you are and love yourself and say, oh, good, I've been doing what's right. I did something good. I did something right, I can be happy in this. I can be healthy then too, because you know what? They do their best to make you miserable so that you won't be healthy either. So our health and our happiness are directly linked to each other. So there's no amount of figuring out, or trying, that's gonna make you want. That's gonna make you want to happen that's going to make what you want to have happen the way you want it to happen in these relationships. So when God is on the job working on you and for you, there's no one and nothing on the planet that can help you through what you're going through. That's why I said sometimes you just have to go to God. You have to go just be by yourself. And why I said that going to support groups might not be where you're at right now. Sometimes you just have to be alone. Sometimes you don't want to go talk to your friends, or if you have any, or go out with people. So on a God job, the only course of action is total, undaunted, microscopic trust. I'm just going to read this whole page because I think it's so good. I can't stop. I love this book so much. So pardon me. And you can sign off of this anytime you want to if it's not working for you to stay here and keep listening. But I am just so appreciating this because it goes perfectly with the page before. And I just want to help you see how delicious this book is. I don't know why, but it's really good food for the soul and for the spirit of us. Especially the spirit. The spirit needs it so much. So I'm just running with this, and you can run with me if you want to. I thank you for those of you who are. So on a God job, the only course of action is total, undaunted, microscopic trust. You must become a child again. You must trust that you will be fed, that you'll be changed, and that you'll be protected. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. They take everything away from you. So you totally have to depend on them. And then when you don't want to go to them, you're left depending on nothing, right? You have to find a way to feed yourself. You're like a child again. Oh my God. And to be protected also. And you have to trust, though, that those needs of yours are going to be met. You'll be fed. God feeds the birds. He'll feed you too. And you'll be changed. You'll have a place to go to the bathroom and change your clothes. God knows. It might be outside in nature, but you're going to feel good doing it. You'll be protected, and you'll have every need you need will be met. It may feel like you're being passive, but the truth is, if you can trust God in the midst of a challenge, God can do more for you in 5 minutes than you could ever do in 5 years. I love that sentence, and I think about it often. God really can do more for you in 5 minutes than you can do in 5 years. So until today, you may have been trying to do for yourself what only God can do for you. Just for today, be devoted to trusting that God is on the job, doing what God needs to be done, the way it needs to be done, working toward the best possible outcome for your best interest. Today, I am devoted to remembering that God has a plan. That's all I need to know. So, that's July 7th. And thank you for being with me today. So, July 8th, again, this is so good. I could just keep reading. And what I just said about, how you need to feed your soul. This is soul food. Food for your spirit, and how your spirit especially needs to be fed. Oh, much more than we ever even know. But July 8th says, I will gain more understanding when I realize I must feed my spirit if I want to stay alive. And that is the absolute truth about these kinds of relationships. And the bullies will go away too. So, the very last sentence of this page says, today I'm devoted to having a spiritual feast. So, yeah, I guess, I could just keep reading, and maybe I'll make a support group that we all can join together and do this together every day. Just read one page from the book in the morning. That's a really good idea. And then have a discussion afterwards if you want, and then we can do it. We will build our trust in life together. If we start with chapter 1 for January, which, it's not too late to do because it's still January. And January is about life. So, anyway, so thankful for Ilana Van Zandt, who had the insight and the inspiration and the guidance she did, the intuition she did to write this book for us, and to be such a good example for us to follow. So, her stories are amazing. Her book, In the Meantime, is also one that I have absolutely gained so much insight and wisdom from. It's so good, too. I love that book of hers. Teaches you how to get up out of the basement of life. She has an analogy in there of like, well, I'm not going to go into any more details about that book right now because it's not the focus here. But January in this book is all about life. So, the very first page of January says, if there's a day a day that you have eaten until you were full, if there's a time of joy you can recall, if you have escaped even once the clutches of death, if you can remember one or all of the above, then you have something to be grateful for. So she reminds us to be grateful and shows us the way also. So, yeah, a lot of this book is about self-realization, because even January starts off with, life will work for me when I realize ... I must put first things first. So, yep, every page of January starts with, life will work for me when I realize ... So I love that she's helping us with our self-realization, which means our self-awareness. Because March, she starts off with, I open my heart and mind to be aware ... And to be acknowledging ourselves and what's real for us and true. So April is, I am willing to acknowledge ... And these are things that we need to acknowledge in our life. Like, what does it smell like, for example? Which I think is funny. But she has one page about that. Like, what does your life smell like? And then May, I'm now receptive to the idea that ... God is on my side. Or I'm capable of doing everything better next time. Also, if I don't ask for what I need, the need will keep getting bigger. I'm now receptive to the idea that sometimes people do things that have nothing